the left side. I am hyper hyped to announce tonight's guest. I am joined by the great Roy Storey. Dude, how are you? You good?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Doing really, really well. Currently recovering from an injury, but other than that, all good.
Yeah, man. What? Obviously, I know when we were sort of talking, you kind of sort of saying you're currently out sort of injured, and still you just want to sort of see keep your toes in the pool. You want to keep talking wrestling, all this kind of sort of stuff, which is awesome. But yeah, man, I didn't want to ask sort of by a message. I thought I'd wait till I got to speak to you. Um, the injury, man, is it sort of? I know any injury is serious, but hopefully it's not too serious.
Yeah, so it's a very rare injury. It's a rupture of a patella tendon in my right knee. So it's the second one that I've done. I did it to my left one in November 2023, and that took 18 months to recover from. But this one's looking like it's going to be a bit faster, to be honest.
Dude, wow. Shit, man. So was it just general? Is it sort of physio, resting up, no surgery, nothing like that? Just general.
Um, so yeah, I had to have surgery. So it's only like a 2 hour surgery, but basically they had to when they've opened my knee up, they've said that the tendon was um shredded like a horse's tail.
Oh, damn.
So they basically had to get the ends together, kind of tie them using sutures, and then basically wrap some like patella tape around it, just to hold it. So currently going through physio where it's just working on getting my bending back and range of motion stuff really.
Yeah, yeah, man. Because knees are important, especially obviously they're important in everyday life, but like in wrestling, then running the ropes, just general the athleticism, cardio, running around, taking the bumps. Yeah, your knees are kind of important.
Yeah, people, unless you've had like a proper serious knee injury, people don't actually realize like exactly how much you kind of need them. The patella tendon as well, it's like kind of crucial because it's the tendon that allows your knee to bend, so it connects your shin to your knee. So the way that I did it as well was extremely like weird. So my right one, the most recent one, I literally did just by doing an up and over. I literally just jumped, kicked my legs out, and then there was a massive like pop noise. So we all thought it was the ring originally, and then I just dropped, and I knew straight away what it was because of my left one previously doing that one.
Dude, it's just weird. Like in wrestling, like it can just be the most simplest thing that seems
Yeah,
to it just they come out of nowhere kind of thing. People. Prime example, from old school ECW fan like RVD kind of thing. All the shit that he does, and then he kind of breaks his ankle doing a baseball slide, and it's just like,
yeah,
dude,
yeah. That's one thing Wolfgang said. Because I was doing a training session with him when it happened, and he was saying that it's always the small things or the non like dangerous moves which tend to lead to the injuries. So, and having said that as well, with my left one, that one was literally somebody went for a crossbody in a match. I caught him. It was a training match. I caught him, and then my knee just popped when I caught him. Um,
dude.
so yeah, again, most basic move can still lead to a serious injury.
Well, obviously, speedy recovery, dude, and you'll be back before you know it, kind of thing. And hopefully, when you get back in, the fans will pop huge and they're like, yeah, the great one's back, and everything's kosher kind of thing. Unless you come back and smack somebody in the face and you just obviously want to get booed. But yeah, I'd be pushing for that sort of face return, like Triple H style. It's kind of like get the pops.
Yeah, it's it's a bit of a weird one because like you would think that this happening to somebody, especially twice, would lead to them coming back as a babyface. But I think with the target wrestling audience, there's no way I'm coming back as a babyface. I think that ship sailed when I came back from my first injury and I came back as a heel. To be honest.
Ah, there you go. They can just kind of like, yeah, in that case, then just come back and just wind them all up and be like, yep, I'm back. F you all. That's it. We're good. I'm back to wind you all up and just antagonize you and just be a git.
Yeah, exactly. So like this first time round when I came back, I started managing a good friend of mine, Charlie Anderson. He was part of the tag team with Ernest Boggs called Yorkshire Gold. So I started managing Charlie, and then we formed a stable called the Golden Age. And basically, like due to Charlie being a massive heel and then Boggs being a massive heel as well, it just kind of stuck with me coming back as a heel. And then once I was cleared to compete, me and Boggs won the tag titles in our first match as a tag team.
Yes. Yeah, we love Boggs. So anytime we get to hear Mr. Boggs mentioned, it's kind of like, yeah, nothing but love. That's awesome. So like you sort of said then, that kind of like you said, you came back first time round, got the gold. Obviously, you have held numerous titles as well, because I was looking through. Obviously, one of the ones that popped out to me was the high octane target one. Looking through the list of people who've held that belt, dude, that's an awesome belt, and it's generally held, by people who are kind of held in high regard.
Yeah, it's an impressive list of people. I mean, even Paul London has held it, ex WWE superstar. So it's a pretty prestigious belt. And then the person I beat for it, I don't know if you know him, but Rossi Rascal.
Rossi Rascal, yeah.
Yeah, so yet again, he's one of the most up and coming people in the country at the minute. Has his own wrestling school, which is really, really good. Getting people in at a young age and getting them used to shows and stuff, and a lot of potential in a lot of his students. But Boggs does a lot of stuff with him as well. Got a lot of time for both of them, to be honest. But yeah, that whole feud with Rossi is the kind of thing that started to get me over properly as a heel. So Rossi had just won my alt tag partner in a match. I came out from backstage, low blowed him from behind, and then did my finishing move on the title belt. I ran off with the title and then basically walked around saying that I'd beat him. Led to a title match, and then eventually I managed to cheat to win, kicked him in the gonads, and then hit him with the title belt for the victory.
That old possession is 9/10 of the law kind of thing. You're like, right, yeah, I'm walking out with the belt. I have the belt, therefore it is my belt.
Exactly, and the best part is as well, I was meant to defend it, so I'd advertised a match against somebody defending a belt that's not even my belt, so it was still a non-title match, but it got me heat. And then literally 2 days before that show, I tore my MCL in my left knee, so I couldn't wrestle on it. But luckily, it's a minor tear, so it only took a few weeks to heal. So I came out for that show on crutches and kind of played it like I wasn't really injured, even though I was. And then the crowd just ate that up, to be honest. And then the finish of the match, I just helped the person that replaced me win, and then walked around acting like I'd won my belt.
Instant heel heat, man. That's gnarly. That's just weird. I like so say because normally as wrestling fans, yeah, man, we are so kind of accustomed to somebody doing that, and there's being like, that dude's not even injured. But obviously, yeah, the irony is in your case is like the dude is generally injured, but now he's pretending not to be injured, but pretending to be injured just to get that heat kind of thing. So it's like a dude pretending to be another dude, pretending to be another dude. It's like, yep.
Exactly. It's like when I first started as well. Normally, obviously, when people first start in wrestling, they tend to be a babyface. But I've always been a heel. I've never wrestled as a babyface. And my very first match had the gimmick of the personification of greatness. And I decided, you know what? I'm just going to be the type of guy that's going to pretend that he's really, really great, do everything, and then the minute he's in the ring, he's just going to be awful. He's part of a tag team with a well-established man called Damon Havoc. Really, really good wrestler. If you've never seen him wrestle, definitely worth a watch. He would beat up the opponents that we had. I'd tag myself in, or arrogant, or cocky, and then I'd get taken out and then scurry out. And then for a lad that I know who does Scottish Wrestling Network, he used to do reviews on shows, and he reviewed one of the matches, and he was like, I can't tell if Roy Storey is a bad wrestler or if Roy Storey is good at being a bad wrestler. So I managed to get in touch with him and told him what the gimmick was, and then he finally understood it. But it's one of these gimmicks where the longer that I did it, the more I was like, oh, can I actually wrestle? And then luckily I've had training with like Joseph Conners and like Wolfgang, and they've all assured me that I'm actually not that bad. So
Dude, the thing I would kind of say with that is, again, it's kind of, I'm hopefully not from me age. I'll kind of sort of say, I'm a fan of the old school stuff, so I'm not as old as it makes me sound. But this old school comedian called Les Dennis who used to play the piano, but he used to play the piano wrong. But it was in key, but it's out of key. And you could tell that he was playing it wrong, but you could tell that he was playing it wrong on purpose. So it's kind of like the dude's got to know what he's doing to then know what not to do, kind of thing. Or he's got to know how to do it to know how to do it wrong.
Exactly.
So that's what I would sort of say. Yeah, obviously, you've got to be able to wrestle to then be able to wrestle bad, but safe. Obviously, no one's going to let you wrestle bad just for shits and kicks kind of thing, because yeah, it ain't safe.
No, exactly. People don't realise as well, like um, the risk of injury with every. Well, I'm living proof, to be honest, but any little thing could get injured. So it's one of them. It's difficult to kind of pull off wrestling bad and being safe, but you're normally working with people that have worked with people that are similar or stuff. So it's all about trust, really, isn't it?
Teamwork. So you mentioned like never been face, because that's like
No.
sort of said generally, yeah, most people when they start it's either like a 50-50 split, or they'll start face just to kind of get the foundations, kind of just figure out what they're doing, because it's. But yeah, man, you from day one, you kind of come out there and just been like heel heat. That's it. This is
Yeah,
what.
yeah, it was a bit of a weird one because I was set to debut in 2020. It was, and Target were holding um, poll online where people were allowed to send in promos, and then the more successful the promos were, they'd be entered into a tournament for the world title. So as a trainee, I just messaged the guy that runs Target and was like, "Can I put a promo out?" Thinking, nothing of it basically. I just thought it'd be a good experience to kind of like get myself there, or maybe think of a gimmick and stuff. So I'd done the promo, thought nothing of it, and then it was one of the higher rated ones. I think it had like nearly 250 likes, and like loads of different comments. So then straight away I was into the title picture for that tournament. But then lockdown kind of put a stop to that. And then when we did open back up, I had COVID on the day of the tournament, so sadly I couldn't take full advantage of the opportunity. But then I was able to make my debut on the next show in September that year, 2021, where I basically thought, right, I've established my gimmick with that promo. Everyone thinks personification of greatness. What's he capable of? And me knowing that I'm not a high flyer, I'm like, they're gonna think like, this guy's Will Ospreay. I was like, nah, I need to do something that's gonna show straight away who I am. So what I did was I made my own T-shirt, and it says "Who's the greatest" on the front with a question mark, similar to kind of Stone Cold's "What." And then when I turned around, I had a list of names in tiny print, like Hulk Hogan, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, and I'd spray painted a big red X over them. And then underneath there was Roy Storey in big capital letters. So straight away, people know that this guy thinks he's the best. And then from the first involvement of the match, they realise, he's not as good as he thinks he is, but he thinks he's better than what he actually is. And then we all know people like that in real life. We all dislike them, or they get on our tits. So it works.
That's genius. And like I say, yeah, it's just instant heat. That was a great idea for a T-shirt as well, because like so say, it's just straight out the gate, straight through the curtain. The fans kind of get the character, they know what you're about, and straight away they're just kind of like, yeah, we're booing this guy. This guy is an obnoxious dick. So yeah.
And then the way I came up with the gimmick as well, that was kind of like different to how most people do, because there's that famous saying, where it's like Vince McMahon uses it all the time, where it's just yourself turned up, which could work for some people, but at the time I was like, right, I know who I am, but if I turn that up, I'm not sure whether it works as a gimmick. So what I did was I messaged a bunch of my close mates, and then just any random person that would reply to us. And I got them to list my three best qualities as a person and my three worst qualities as a person, with the idea being if anything crosses, I can kind of use them if I turn babyface or if I'm a heel. And the one thing that kept coming up was stuff like confidence, or some people would put cockiness. And I was like, right, well, there we are, sorted. Just turn that right up.
Dude, that's awesome. But yeah, like I said, it works. It's kind of like it gives you an idea of what to do. It kind of like then you can work on it. You can start fine tuning it. But at its core, yeah, it's kind of like that little bit of genuineness there, to tap into when needed. So it's kind of like, yeah, that's cool. Kind of talking about obviously early days that developing the character, thinking about things like that. I'll get the generic question sort of asked. Obviously you've been training at this point, before you're asking these people for ideas, good things and bad things. What made you take those steps initially? Is it always kind of been? I've had so many different answers to this. I've done it. People told me it was a drunken bet when they first started going. Obviously, we've got the childhood fans. Some the mate did it. They tagged along. So I'm always kind of curious as to, everybody's got a slightly different story.
Yeah, so I'm a childhood fan. Growing up as a triplet, there was three brothers, and I had an older brother as well. He was a massive Stone Cold fan, so we've always had it in our life. And then when we were younger, we used to like play wrestle, and like in school, we used to have our own like wrestling federation with our friends and stuff. And then I basically just from there always wanted to do it. So
Was it a case of like, cause obviously again, depending on how far back it was, because I know, depending on where people live, I know obviously now, I was kind of joke, you're never more than 15 minutes away from a school, you're never more than 30 minutes away from a really good school kind of thing. But I know that's kind of changed over the last few years. I know probably pre-lockdown, it was still a little bit hit and miss. Was it easy enough for you to was it just a case of going on Google? Was you close to one? Did you have to drive for hours to get to school?
yeah, luckily for me, I'm based in Carlisle, where Target do the training. So I knew that was available when I was like 16. I googled places to wrestle, and the closest one other than Target was Johnny Moss's school in Egremont, um, which at the time I just weren't able to get to when I first started wrestling, working full time and stuff. By the time I'd finished work and got the train, it wouldn't have been worth going to a training session. So I just ended up training at Target, which, to be honest, has been really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, Target's one of those promotions. I've spoken to various people from there now. I've subscribed to their YouTube kind of thing. I try and watch as many of the matches and the shows, knows what they put on YouTube kind of thing. Obviously, a big fan of, like I say, Martin Kirby, Shea Monet, Tim Strange, various guys, the list of people who've held a high octane title as well. So yeah, man, Target there. I think their promotion, obviously, a lot more people should know. I'm kind of really careful when I say this because I want to make him sound like people don't know who they are because they've got a really good fan base. People know who the Target are, but in my eyes, more people should know.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It's kind of one of them things where it's like I think everyone north of a certain area know who they are. It's just people in certain other areas have probably only ever heard of them if they have a favourite wrestler that came up, or they've been in the area really. Because they tend to just do shows around Cumbria and Scotland as well. So it's kind of one of them where it's the area that they're run know them, but then once you try and get a bit further away, they're not as well known as they maybe should be, to be honest.
That's it. Yeah, obviously, yeah, huge in like the key demographic, the area kind of thing. But I think I'm just massive. Obviously, I try and cover. I'm based in Yorkshire, so I'm kind of see. I get to go to shows in Yorkshire, but I try and watch a lot of stuff from around like a certain area.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks to YouTube, Target on one of those promotions that I kind of watch a lot of. Again, especially as I sort of say, Tim Strange being there, Martin Kirby and Shea Monet kind of things, like three of my favorite all-time people. So yeah, man, I think Target are one of those. Well, I'm just basically saying, if you don't know who Target are, subscribe to the YouTube channel, go watch them out on YouTube. If you can get to a show, get to a show. If you can't, then yeah, subscribe to the YouTube. Give them plenty of views and get talking about them.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. Like with Target as well, one of the people that used to always be on shows and stuff because he lives like local to the area was Josh Terry, and then he ended up going to NXT. So that it is possible that there's people from that area that you are going to see on TV or in other places as well. So
that's it, man. Support your local scene, support the national scene. You don't have to be local. But yeah, obviously, say talking like getting to schools. Then, so you get to the school, you start the training, and as you sort of say, you straight out the gate, you're working heel. But you mentioned Wolfgang and Mr. Conners. Was that sort of seminars? Did you venture out and about?
So Wolfgang, I noticed since he left WWE, he was doing one-on-one sessions and stuff about girders. So me and a wrestler called Ozzy Michaels started doing training sessions up there a couple of times a month, just because we're both in a position where we want to improve and basically like try and expand ourselves. And then Joseph Conners came about shortly after I returned from my last injury. Owen had mentioned he'd done an elevation program thing with him, where basically like he reviews your matches, you have a talk to him, and then you can go and wrestle on one of his shows. But you're constantly in touch with him, and you're getting feedback and stuff, and you can run ideas by him. And I was like, you know what, that's worth it. Like, I know Joseph Conners is. I used to pay to see him wrestle at different promotions and stuff. Really, really good. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna give it a go, see what it is. And then, honestly, even while I'm injured now, and like I don't have any matches to show him, that he's been in touch with us. Like, I've got a good rapport with him. I consider him one of my mates now, to be honest.
Yes. Yeah, nothing but respect for Joseph Conners. Massive, massive fan. Had the pleasure. I think we had Riley over on a while ago. I think this kind of came up in conversation with him or somebody else. JC came up, and it was just the description of his attitude, his competitiveness, the mindset. That kind of. I played football against him a few years ago in like a charity match for Soccer and Spandex, and
Yeah.
just being on a football pitch with the guy, just seeing him, I was just kind of stood there like, oh shit, this dude is legitimately scary. Just that will to win. Even though it was just a charity match, the dude had that mindset, which I think most
On it,
people who are successful, have to have.
honestly, like I showed him one of my matches first time round, and literally the first thing he did was like the bells rang. We did like one thing, and then he's paused it straight away. And he was like, "Right, this is good, but do this instead." And literally, he had that throughout the entire match. And I know some people would take it the wrong way, but I was just literally like, "Holy crap!" Like, there's so much more. Like, this is what I want. It was the same when I went to Wolfgang's first match of mine. He saw pause something. He was like, "Right, that's good, but try and do it like this." And it's just opens your mind to so much different things. So any wrestlers that are looking at wanting to actually improve and like increase the knowledge and stuff, literally get in touch with Joseph Conners' Elevation program because it's worth it. Like, it's unbelievable.
Just yeah, like I said, the guy obviously knows what he's talking about. But I love the word in there as well. Like you sort of said, where they'll pause it and they'll say, "Try it like this." Not telling you to do it like this because obviously everything's different for everyone, kind of thing. What works for
Yeah,
one person won't always work for another. But it's a case of, look, try it like this. If it works, awesome. If that doesn't work, try something else. Like I say, yeah, you've got to be willing to take that kind of. It's not gnarly criticism. It's coming from a place of, look, you come to me, you want to get better. They respect that, and they will try to make you better. And everything they say is to make you better. It's not to put you down. It's not to make you feel like crap. It's to build you up.
exactly. Plus, like, also like with their like experience and stuff, they'll name drop people like William Regal and people like that. So like they've had advice from basically the best that there is to do it. Like, surely you're gonna listen to them if they've got anything. But going back to trying things, I always tell people, like trainees at Target or people on shows, like, try stuff. You got a new catchphrase you want to try it. If it doesn't work, then fair dues. But at least you've gave something a go. That's the only way you can improve. And for ages, I was telling people to simmer down, and it weren't really getting a reaction. And then over time, it started to get a reaction. It's like you've just got to keep pushing it, and then eventually, if it's a good idea, it will get a reaction. If it's not, then you can find something else.
That's it. I mean, I'm obviously an old school fan. Not everything The Rock said stuck. I remember going back and watching some old pay-per-views and watching old promos. I was like, I've totally forgot he used to say that. But you can tell he was trying to get it over. He was trying to get it like as a slogan or catchphrase or something. It was just like probably said it 2 or 3 times, and it was like, yeah, that ain't working. We'll try something else. So yeah, you know what I mean. It's just everybody does it. You just kind of not everything's going to stick to the wall, but you can try it. If it works, awesome. If it doesn't, yeah, man, it's not a bad thing. You learn from it. You move on.
No, exactly. I think one of the problems with like some people is that obviously like they're afraid to fail, but the way I view it is there's no such thing as failure because you learn from it. So
To quote Batman, why do we fall down? To learn to pick ourselves back
exactly. That's all there is to it.
up. But yeah, again, nothing but respect as well. As soon as you sort of said, mentioned like going to girders and stuff, obviously I've spoken to a few people over the last few years doing this, and a lot of people that I speak to, the ones that seem to be progressing, quickly, the ones that seem to have a higher curve trajectory, are the ones who don't just stick to one school. You know what I mean? They want to go out and about. They want to experience other things, or they're tapping up other people for help or information. It's fine to stay. I'm not saying don't not stay at one school, but I do think it's better, based on what I've heard, that you get yourself out there. Maybe try another school. You're not cheating on your home kind of thing. It's just a different perspective.
No, exactly. Plus, like the more kind of like styles you work, and then the more people you kind of work as well, you're gonna improve. But that's one of the problems with if you are wanting to stay in the same spot, and yet again, if it's just a hobby, then fair enough. But
Yeah.
you're not gonna kind of improve. There's gonna be a certain point where your matches are just gonna be the same. Whereas if you're working different styles with people, or you're working like different meshes, then you're always gonna learn something. I wrestled DCT as one of my first big singles matches was against DCT. And I used to pay to see him wrestle at the Hydro for ICW and stuff like that. And honestly, the first 5 minutes of my match with him, I learnt so much more than any of the other matches that I'd had before that match.
That's crazy. So, but again, that's kind of sort of, just having those moments, having those experiences. Like say you just come out of it better because you
Yeah.
just got to learn something. Even if you just learn one thing, that's one thing you wouldn't have known previously, and it makes you a little bit better. It takes you one step up the ladder, kind of thing. Um, but that's crazy. So obviously, I mentioned before getting into wrestling. Again, this is kind of a 50-50 split when I talk to people. Before people get into British wrestling, some of them aren't even aware that it's a thing. I'm talking to you, and it kind of sounds like you was a fan of British wrestling before you got into it as well.
Yeah, so I didn't really discover like British wrestling properly until like What Culture Pro Wrestling and that were around. But when I was younger, we used to always go to like holiday camps and always go to the wrestling shows that were put on by them. So growing up as a kid, I'd always watched like wrestling in the UK. Um, but it was just kind of like that type of wrestling until like What Culture Pro Wrestling came along, and then you had the likes of Joe Hendry, Martin Kirby, like all of them showing up, and then I started to get more into it from there, basically.
Yeah, it's just like I say. I know it's a bit of a culture shock to some people because they're like, they'll get into it and they're not even aware that it's that kind of. They think this might be, I don't know what, a handful of promotions in the country. And then obviously they start training, start talking to people, start kind of trying to network, and it's kind of like, oh shit, there's like 50 odd promotions. This is
Yeah,
crazy.
it's nuts, and I know people that have been to like schools that I've never heard of, and there's wrestlers there that they've never heard of, and I've been told that there's some amazing people out there. And this is a thing with wrestling as well. Like you say, it's going to be impossible to know how many schools, how many wrestlers there are there, but you can guarantee there's going to be a lot of people that aren't discovered that are absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's why I say, it kind of goes back to me doing the YouTube thing and trying to find as many promotions as possible, just to kind of look at on YouTube, watch the matches, and things like that. Because, yeah, I'm always finding like new people kind of thing. Or, there's some guy, like somebody put me onto Chaos recently, and it's like, I'd heard of him, but I never watched any of their stuff. They sent me a match because Jet Marshall was in it, so I watched that. And on the back of that, it was against a guy called Shane Hook. And I'm legitimately angry at myself. I'm kind of like, well, I've never heard of this kid before. This is an awesome match. But yeah, on the back of that, I was like, okay, cool. I've discovered somebody else that I really like. Start going to wrestling in Newcastle. Discovered Prince Levi. I was like, holy shit, this guy's fucking amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just, there's always somebody out there that you don't know about that's just waiting, to be found, and you just get that enjoyment of seeing.
exactly. And another thing with wrestling as well is like there's so much in it that appeals to different people. Like one person might like a more comedic style match rather than an actual 5-star classic. There's just so much that that's different and that it's very subjective, but it's really really good that way. I think people liking different things, people like not always having the same opinion, but that doesn't necessarily mean either opinion's wrong either. It's just really 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 good.
I talked about like the sort of different styles, and obviously, like say when you're sort of starting the school, doing the training, start working on yourself, on your character and stuff. I'm always kind of curious as to what kind of mindset people have when they go in. Like, do you go in? Obviously, a lot of people grow up influenced by like Jeff Hardy, all those kind of guys, and they must think, right, I'm going to start wrestling, I'm going to start doing swantons and all this kind of sort of stuff. They get into a ring, climb up the turnbuckles, and they're like, no, sod that, I'm back down again, But do you go into it with a sort of a mindset, or do you just kind of go in and be like, I'll learn the foundations, I'll learn the fundamentals, and I'll see what sticks, I'll feel, I'll see what feels right.
So before I went into it, I did a like seminar type thing with Joe Hendry and Dr. Tom Pritchard. And one of the things Joe Hendry suggested on it for people that were starting in wrestling or weren't going to be the best wrestlers to start off with, because the new was develop your character straight away. So that's one thing I was looking at doing. But then I've got favourites that other people maybe don't necessarily like have. So for example, like I know that I'm not the most athletic person, so I was like, right, who's a wrestler I can like kind of base a style off? And then I was like, oh, The Miz. Classic one. Get overlooked. Not many people like him, but he's safe in the ring and he's got good character work. Another one was controversial opinion. I think he's the better out of the two brothers, but Owen Hart.
Dude, yes, thank you. Yes.
Sorry, Brett, but Owen Hart had character. He was like unbelievable technically, and his heel run from 1996 to 1998 was just absolutely phenomenal. Just phenomenal.
Right there with you. I've been saying that for ages. I always kind of get a hot take, and people just kind of look at me like, no. I'm like, no, he was so much better. He's not a nugget. He was cool. It was just like,
yeah. It's just unbelievable. The King of Hearts onwards, just phenomenal. Everything he did with the slammies and like, just unbelievable.
Yes, dude. Mate, that's just made my day. I always appreciate when I find somebody who, acknowledges the awesomeness of Owen as well. Like I say, it's not to be smoked. Brett's a goat, but one of the goats. But Owen was just Owen very underappreciated. In that regards, I would say the same about Christian. To me, Christian was always I rate Christian over Ed kind of thing. But
yeah, funny you mentioned Christian, because I've always been a massive fan of his. I loved his Crybaby gimmick in 2002, early 2003. Christian, loved him all the way through his TNA run, and I loved his AW run currently. But when I was needing a finishing move, I was originally using the crossface, because I was thinking of a move that I could use on everybody, because I'm not the tallest and I'm not the biggest person. But if somebody traps your arm and gets your neck, no matter who it is, if you can't get out, you're going to tap. But I was like, I want a more impactful move that I can do on people. And then I was like, right, what can I use? And then straight away I was like, right, kill switch, or the Unprettier, whatever you want to call it. So my version of it is story time. But I can hit it on anybody. So I was like, I'm taking that.
Dude, that's amazing. Oh, mate, you're just ticking all the boxes here. I'm just so happy. Because again, if anybody's watched it, with myself and Mick and Ryan, we did an episode last week. We was looking at King of the Ring 2001, and obviously Christian had a match on there, and he hits the Unprettier on Kurt Angle, and we all kind of sort of looked at each other, and we was just like, that is one of the best moves ever, and nobody ever acknowledges this fact, kind of thing. And it's just kind of like, the Unprettier is a mint 5-star move.
Yeah, it's one of them as well. People don't understand unless they've tried doing it, how hard it actually is to get it like spot on.
Watching it, it just looks awkward when you try to sort of.
I'm pretty sure there's matches of mine from my early days where I'm sure there's one kill switch or story time, as I call it, that I hit, where the person that I do it on has mistimed it, so his head hits my shoulder, which didn't suck for me. It would have sucked for him, not timing his fall right, like. But honestly, it's just it's very clunky when you first start doing it, and then it takes a lot of timing to get it right. But then, to be honest, nowadays I just grab them and just tell them, as soon as I pull, just go down. Works better for you.
Story time as well. It's a great name.
Yeah, obviously a nice pun. But I like to kind of incorporate it into my gimmick. So what I normally do, I'm about to reveal like a little secret here. Similar how Ric Flair has his red tights, and he never wins when he wears red. My little gimmick is, if I shout, it's time, it's story time, I'm not hitting it. I'm only gonna hit it if I don't chat shit.
Karma, man, it's karma. That's it. Don't announce the damn move. Just hit the damn move.
Exactly. And then there was one guy everyone thought I was going to hit it on. I'd shouted it, I'd held him, and then I'd walked with him a little bit, and then he reversed it into his own story time and then face planted us.
It's just these little things like that that genius. I love those little nuggets, like the continuity kind of thing. Like you sort of said, if the fans who have been going for long enough, when the penny drops, they'll be like, "Oh shit, yeah." It's just kind of like subconsciously they'll be like, "Oh man." Oh, but that one moment when you shout that one match down the road, when you shout it out, everyone's gonna be like, "Yeah, no, it's not hitting this," and then you'll hit it, and it'll just be like, "Oh
Yeah.
shit, damn." You're building a future story or you're building a future moment to kind of pull out the hat whenever you want to.
Exactly. And the best part is as well, no one's kicked out of it. Apart from me, I kicked out of the one that was hit on me. No one else is kicked out of it.
Protecting the finisher, man. That seems to be like a weird thing at the minute. Like a lot of people, again, I don't know if obviously it depends on what sort of side of the fence you sit, kind of thing, or protecting finishers or having like 3 or 4, kick outs in a match after a finisher. It all depends on obviously the match, the people involved in the story that's being told, I guess. But to me, man, if I was a wrestler, I'd be like, my move is protected. You know what I mean? I want it to be, I hit this, game over kind of thing. You can kick out of any other move. No, if I hit this move, that's it.
Yeah, it's one of them. I've found ways around it. So as much as I say people haven't kicked out of story time, I've found ways around it where they've kicked out after I've hit it, but there's been like 30 seconds before I've pinned them. So like they've rolled out the ring or something like that, and I've had to waste time trying to find them and then roll them back in. So I think stuff like that's okay, but I feel like if you're hitting your finish and then you're straight on the pin, nobody should kick out. But that's just me. Unless it's like a proper like end of a feud match where it makes sense. I'm like, nah.
Yeah. No, I'm there with you. Like I said, there is always the exception. There's always that Rock Austin, which is the earliest examples. Really, there's probably ones prior to that which people will tell me about. But my first memory of that kind of sort of thing was Rock and Austin, kicking out and hitting each other's finishers and kicking out and all this kind of sort of stuff. So that was they were the earliest near 3-4s I can think of. But it seems to happen all the time. So it's like.
I think they're the first time that I remember seeing it as well. The Rock and Austin kicking out of each other's finishes and stuff. One thing that I do like, but it's very sketchy to do on shows is Kurt Angle used to always do a very late kick out for a false finish. I try and do that, but it is if you need to tell the referees that you're doing it because it's sketchy as anything. And I've seen times on shows where, luckily not in one of my matches, but I've seen times where somebody's timed it perfectly, but the referees just counted the 3 anyway. So it's like you've got to let them know that you've got to do it, because if you don't, it's sketchy.
And once the ref counts 3, that's it. It's done. You can't. That's it. Like the 3 counts got to stand, and the match is over. That's it. Done.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if they've put the shoulder up. The referee can't then go, "Oh no, it was."
Yeah,
no.
3 counts stands. I'm a firm believer of that as well. That's like another one. But the ref counts 3, mate. That's it. Done. There's no. I hate it. Like, or when they go to and they stop and they don't lift the shoulder up. You're like, mate, just count the 3. If you haven't lifted the shoulder, you've got to count that 3, dude.
I do have a gimmick idea that's just popped in my head with this conversation now for when I do return, and it's going to get us massive heat. VAR.
Oh, dude, yes, I was having this conversation with somebody about so it's like we need somebody needs to do something with. It's like say it's just here. Can you imagine just stopping a match there and be like, right, no, you'd have to have like your own setup in the back or something, or have your own kind of assistant to check the VAR or something.
Well, the faction that I'm in at the minute, we've got our butler, so I'd be able to use him for it. And before he became a butler, he was actually a referee on shows. Works.
Dude, that works. That's awesome. You just need to think of something that you kind of have, kind of like so the audience can see it, I guess, or would it be behind the curtain and then it just come running out and be like, no, wasn't a 3 count kind of thing. So you don't even actually need anything. Yeah, they'll just come running back through the curtain and be like, yeah, no, that wasn't a 3 count. VAR says no. Oh,
it could work.
If you like certain promotions, obviously, they've got a lot more promotions now. Got the big screen. If you could get a graphic that just kind of go up, no, or VAR says no, just on the big Titan screen. You're like, oh.
Do it for a big title match as well. Quality.
Oh, mate, that'd be amazing. Oh, I'm gonna be so hyped that obviously, yeah, dude. When you come back, I suppose again, it's it's sort of like having an idea. People have got to be. You've got to sort of let the powers that be sort of run it by him, but I can't see anyone being like, that's not a good idea. That's a great idea. That just gets you heat instantly.
Luckily, for Target, most of the ideas I come up with, they're kind of like, yeah, that's fine. I think luckily I've got to a point now where they're just like, yeah, he knows what he's doing, he knows his gimmick, we trust him. So yeah, I don't see it being a problem, to be honest.
Yeah. Again, just so happy. That's genius. I love that. Again, though, it's something different. You know, wrestling is one of those crazy businesses where it's very rare to come up with something new or something that hasn't been seen before. You know, but when you do, mate, that stands out. That's the kind of shit that people will talk about, or they'll send a video of it to their mates, and that shit gets spread about, and it's kind of like, oh shit, yeah, here we go. And then you'll be known as like, oh yeah, they do that in the VAR. Who's that? Roy Storey. Oh shit, and then yeah, it snowballs from there.
Exactly. I also feel like it works well with the personification of greatness gimmick as well, that I am having to rely on crooked refs to get the results. But speaking about inventing stuff as well, I was working on like a new version of the kill switch, which I've never seen done before. And I was able to like kind of do it myself as well. And I'd sent it to Joseph Conners, and he loved it. Like he was like, "Yeah, I've not seen anyone do it." So I'll send you the video of it after this because I don't want to reveal it too much in case somebody steals it while I'm injured. But I'll send you the video so you can have a look at it. But
yeah, dude. But I won't obviously pay. So normally, good job you said that. Otherwise, it'll be popping up on the screen in a minute. But yeah, that's fine. We'll keep it under wraps. But yeah, I'm curious because I'm a massive fan of the Unprettier. So to see a new one, next gen Unprettier, we'll call it, kind of thing. I was just like, yeah, I'm intrigued by that. And like I said, if it's got the Joseph Conners stamp of approval, mate, that speaks volumes.
no, exactly. He was the first person when because I just randomly got the idea on a training session. So I was trying it, and then I sent it to him, and he was like, "Yeah, that is good."
So obviously, I should say, we mentioned at the start, being injured and everything like that at the minute. Are you still kind of going to sort of training and just hanging around, sort of doing stuff? I know, cutting promos, doing, just research, watching matches, or obviously keeping yourself, around the people, around everyone.
Yeah, so I'm currently going down training when I can. I tend to go down when the newbies are there because I like to kind of like watch them, but I can also maybe give them advice based on what I've seen. I'm going down to shows as well. I'm hoping to be a heel commentator while I'm on shows and stuff, so I'm still getting my name about and stuff. But yeah, constantly watching wrestling, like little bits and bobs when I can. Predominantly like watching old school wrestling, like the likes of Nick Bockwinkel and people like that, just to see if there's anything that I can kind of like take from them that's not being used nowadays. I always seem to end up going back to watching Owen Hart, though, to be honest. I'll start watching stuff and then I'll just be like, oh, something will pop up and I'll be like, oh, look, it's Owen Hart versus D'Lo Brown. I'll watch that because you will always find something in an Owen Hart match that you can use. Always find something.
Oh, mate, that's amazing. But yeah, like I said, oh, mate, when you start doing the commentary, if you do it, I think it was when I was speaking to Brad Matthews, he was out for like a year or something, and he was sort of saying that he was doing commentary when he was out injured. But he said it was priceless because when you're on that side, when you're doing commentary, it kind of helps you to reflect as well on storytelling more, and if somebody's working too quick as a commentator, you can't tell that story. You're kind of like in your head, like, mate, slow down. It makes you appreciate, right, I need to slow down in the ring so the commentator can sort of tell the story of what I'm doing or get what I'm doing over, and it will mean more as well, and the audience will appreciate it more as well. So yeah, stuff, even working commentary, it will give you it just gives you a whole different perspective.
No, exactly. I've done it once before. We had a gimmick match. My stable were in a feud with a guy called Ozzy that I mentioned earlier, and basically it led to this like match where it was going to be Ozzy versus Charlie, and it was a Golden Age rules match, is what we called it, because our faction's called the Golden Age. So it was my job to be the ring announcer first and explain the rules, and then I went on commentary for it afterwards. So I enjoyed it, but like to tell the story of it while being my heel character that's very biased was a bit like, oh, I'm happy I watched a lot of Bobby the Brain Heenan before I went on it, to be honest. But yeah, I can see that I'll definitely benefit from doing the heel commentary. You never know, when I return, I might end up being like the Jerry Lawler, the target, and just wrestle occasionally and commentate. You never know.
Just take the jacket off and get in the ring kind of thing. Step up from behind the table. Again, obviously, man. Hopefully, that's years down the road. When you come back 100% bish bash bosh. But if you've got that commentary kind of thing, like I said, if it starts playing up a little bit, or you just kind of be like, you've always got that to fall back on, and like I said, that will always get a reaction as well. Just being at a show, standing up, taking the jacket off, and getting in the ring, the fans are gonna freaking just boo the hell out of you for whatever reason.
Exactly. It would just work in my favour as well. But like, I've even done management before as well, which I could go back into because my niece wrestles. So I can always manage her, and she'll instantly benefit from the heat that I've already got as well for that. So
yeah, that's awesome. So as you mentioned beforehand about being, the triplets, you're not identical. It's not like
sadly not. When we were younger, we did all kind of like look more alike, but now that we're older, only like one looks kind of like me, but he's got like lighter hair than me. But I've always wanted to do the three of us having a match. I've always wanted that, or at the very least, I've always wanted to do the switcheroo,
yes.
but do it in a way where it's not like how Kurt Angle and the Bella Twins do it. So we'd do the switch, but then the referee would be like, "That's not Roy Storey." Like, he's got lighter hair. That's not Roy Storey. And even the wrestler won't attack him because he's like, that's not Roy Storey. And then I'll try and do like a sneak up from behind and get caught out, something like that. And then I was thinking the gimmick could be we literally try it all the time. And then, to be honest, that would probably get fake Roy Storey over more than it get the real one, to be honest. But it was just an idea that I had. Basically, the whole point of Roy Storey is he's the personification of greatness in his own head. Nothing goes to plan. Right.
Dude, I like the way I'm glad that you kind of knew what I was kind of where that was eventually going to lead to, kind of thing. It's kind of like it's just one of those moments in wrestling. So I said, yeah, if you can do that again, it would work. It'd be funny as hell. Just what I think about is when we talk about characters, obviously, again, kind of rewinding some of the stuff, the importance of characters and everything like that. I know we were talking about Rascals. I'd just be amiss if I didn't take a second to shout out my boy Candy Stan. I believe it's been announced for the next Rascals show. Just talking about great characters popped into my head, and I just wanted to shout him out. If you're aware of, or if you're going to be watching the next Rascals show, keep your eyes on him. Very cool guy.
Yeah, I'll keep my eyes on it. I think my niece is going down to one of the Rascal shows as well, so I might actually end up down at one of the shows that he's on. So yeah, I'm looking forward to stuff like that. Really,
it's the importance of the character. Like again, it popped into my head when you talk about working on character, getting that character developed, because again, if you've been around wrestling long enough, I don't want to sound like I'm sort of repeating myself constantly on episodes and stuff, but the importance of having that that good character. If you've got a great character, you can kind of work smarter than work harder. The little things mean more if it's done by somebody that the audience is connected with or emotionally cares about. But the audience won't care unless there's a character there.
Yeah, that's one thing I've always been big on. Like, don't get us wrong, I respect anyone that can like put on a 5-star wrestling match and do all of the crazy moves and that. But I'm always like more drawn towards people that have characters. So like, for example, there's a reason Hulk Hogan didn't have to do anything in his matches. It's not because he can't wrestle. If you see him in Japan, you know he can. It's because he had a character that was so over that he literally just had to work one style, and then people just ate it up. It's why I always say when Joseph Conners actually got me for the Elevation program, list my 3 favorite matches, and one of the ones that I listed was Rock v Hogan WrestleMania 18. And I know it's a basic match; they don't do anything amazing in it, but the crowd reaction because of the characters is just what wrestling is, to be honest. I myself don't wrestle what I'd call a dangerous style. So yeah, it's a bit hilarious that I've ended up with a knee injury that happens to less than 100,000 people a year. But honestly, my style's nothing like the likes of Will Ospreay or anything like that. It's more probably like a Rock or like a Miz, where it's like safe but
Yeah.
character based.
It happens. Like we said, said before, it's the irony is it's just the most simple things where you just kind of like, it's ridiculous. Like you can do this, that, and the other, land 5 ways to a Sunday, and just get up. Yeah, you step out of a ring, bang, you snap your ankle.
Yeah.
It's like Jesus wept, seriously. But yeah, this seems to be the wonderful world of wrestling, where it's the little things that are the most dangerous, which is crazy. I suppose it might be because if you're doing something mental, I don't know, you're a bit more tensed or you're a bit more, safe. But if you do something basic, just generally don't think about it.
Yeah, it could be something as simple as that. I mean, my left one, I've always had problems with my left knee, so I knew that was always gonna like eventually go. But this right one, I'd run like 10K 2 days before. There was no pain leading up to it. And then we'd even done like a warm up at Wolfgang's just before we did the up and overs, and there was no pain in it whatsoever either. So I've been told I need to get my bloods done for it, just in case there's an underlying condition that's maybe like caused my tendon to weaken. So getting them done soon. But other than that, yeah, I'm still coming back to wrestling regardless, because if it's an underlying condition, I can treat it. So.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, better to find out. But fingers crossed, like I said, it's just going to be a freak occurrence. It's just going to be one of them things. Nobody saw it coming. Do what you got to do, get yourself back, get yourself in the ring. And until you get back in the ring, do the commentary, just keep yourself getting that heat, just being the heel, just thinking you're a lot better than you are.
The best thing about if I do get back on the commentary as well is because I was tag team champ when I got injured. I'd already had like ideas lined up for shows. We'd won tag team of the year on a Facebook poll for Target Wrestling. So I went out of my way to buy a fake Oscar award that has tag team of the year on it. And I've also got another one because I wanted inspiration from the two Slammies saying match of the year 2023 because I won match of the year in 2023. So I was going to carry them around with the tag titles like similar to Owen Hart. And now I'm just going to have them on the desk at commentary with us and just constantly remind everyone that listens to the YouTube videos that I am part of Tag Team of the Year and I won Match of the Year in 2023, so I know what I'm talking about.
Or whoever you're doing commentary with, if they announce it, you can be like, whoa, stop. 2-time winner, Roy Storey. You know what I mean? I've got the awards here to prove it. Show some respect.
Exactly. And then if, for example, there's a face tag team that I've had a history with in a tag match and the face commentator's bigging them up, I'll be like, what do you know about tag team wrestling? I'm Tag Team of the Year.
It's always good to hit with as well. You've always got up there just to whack somebody with if needs be.
No, exactly. Yeah, one of the heels could come and take it, or I could pass it to one of my stable mates. Works that way as well.
Dude, and I love, again, as soon as you said about the trophy, I was like, Slammies, like you said, yeah, Owen Hart. And again, it's going to be one of those things. Not everybody's going to know or get the reference kind of thing, but the people who do will appreciate the hell out of it. They'll just look at it and be like, yes,
So
I mean,
that's
automatic.
That's one of the things that I first noticed as well about people not getting references. So one of the first things that I used to do from my very first matches, it's now become known in Target or anyone that's wrestled as they call it the Roy Storey start. So whenever we do like a training match and they can't be bothered to come up with a start, they'll say, let's run the Roy Storey start. And all it is Owen Hart versus Bret Hart, WrestleMania 10, I think it is. They go for a tie up. Owen Hart goes underneath. Woo! Go for a second tie up. Owen Hart goes underneath and slaps him in the head. Woo! And then the third time round, he gets cut off. That's all it is, but it's became known in Target as the Roy Storey start. So when people can't be bothered doing it, they'll just say Roy Storey, and they know what they're doing.
Mate, that's got to be awesome though, because obviously, like I said, you've lifted it. It's an Owen Hart thing, but yeah, to this group of people, to these bunch of trainers or trainees, who hopefully they know who Owen Hart is, or hopefully you've pointed them in that direction. But if they don't, mate, that's all yours. They're looking at that start, being like, hey, yeah, that's a Roy Storey start. That's fucking genius.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how many of them didn't get the reference, to be honest, when I first did it. And then continued to do it in like training matches because it was like there's different things that you can do after the tie-up where you've avoided them or anything like that. And everyone was just like, oh, it's Roy Story. It's just something he does now.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Owen. Owen, oh no, forget Owen. It's a Roy thing.
It's
Sure,
it's
Roy
like
Story.
when I had my match with Rossi Rascal, I went to go for the fake tie up and he just double leg takedowners, just beat the fuck out of us when we did that. So
It just works, but like I said, it just gives you options as well. There's so many different ways you can go from it. Oh, dude, that's crazy. You don't do the chest bump though, do you? That's because I know everybody thinks of Brett when they do it, but I know Owen used to do it as well. You know, when you get whipped into the turnbuckle and you just run, man. That's
I've done it once. I've done it once or twice. It all depends who I'm wrestling. But yeah, you've got to time that right. It's not fun. It's not fun. But the worst bump I've ever taken. You remember Rikishi used to do the big butt splash before
oh
he'd turned to do the stink face.
yeah.
Well, I got splashed and then I sat on my ass. And honestly, it was the worst bump I'd ever taken. I don't know if I landed just on a bad board or what, but my tailbone after that was sore for weeks. Worst bump I have ever taken was literally just sitting on my ass in a corner. Um,
Again, basic shit, man. Basic shit.
yeah, like
Works.
give us a pile driver any day of the week. That tailbone was just like nah, no.
Oh, my coccyx. But dude, again, it's crazy. This the wonderful world of wrestling kind of thing. But yeah, it's just going forward. Like I said, with the injury, just keeping yourself busy, man. Keeping yourself involved. Like I said, just because I don't want to say wrestling fans are a fickle bunch because we do always remember. I've known people be injured for 8 months, 12 months, 16 months, come back and get a massive reaction. I don't want to say fans forget about people, but it's always nice when we get to see them in a different light, doing different things. So like sort of say
Yeah.
the commentary or things like that. Just being at shows, just winding fans up for shits and giggles if needs be.
So my first injury, I kind of stayed away, not by choice, because for the first 12 weeks of my first injury, I couldn't get out of bed. That's how like bad the left one was compared to now. I'm 8 weeks in with this one, and I'm able to walk around and do all sorts. So I'm much better now. But with that left one, it took us, I think it was like 6 months before I even went to a show, and it was literally just helping out, watching in the audience and that, and nobody like remembered me. And then when I came back to management, it was one of them where I was basically like having to start again. It was as if like most of them had forgot who I was, um, which I don't know whether that's just me thinking that myself or whether they actually genuinely did. But I was just a bit like, okay, all of my hard work up until my injury is kind of like gone. So I'm like, right, I need to just make sure I get back to what I was doing. So, but I think this time round slightly different because of my work this year with winning the tag belt straight away, and then winning it before my injury. I feel like this time round coming back, it's going to be slightly different, especially with the commentary and stuff. But I feel like I established myself a lot more this time round than I did before the first injury.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, obviously, from what I've seen and what I've heard, yeah, I don't think the second time round. I think when you do come back in whatever form, people are going to be like, "Oh shit, yeah, story time." Here we go. It's kind of like he's back. So, like I said, winning the title is just the work you're putting in before then, kind of thing. The fans will remember that because of the making memorable moments for however you did them. That's what wrestling is. Fans will always remember certain moments. So maybe first time round, things just weren't quite as memorable. But this time
Yeah.
round, yeah, winning the tag titles, doing this, doing that, the fans will remember.
It's like this time round as well because we were meant to defend our tag titles in January on a big show where it was going to be 3 teams. It was going to be like a three-way tag kind of match, and we'd already had the spot where we were both tagging me and my partner, and then try and pin each other, and it would get broken up, and then it would lead to like a massive melee. So we had that plan and stuff, but to build up that match, what me and my mate did, we ripped off a couple of Christmas songs in December, and we parodied a couple of Christmas songs. So we did David Essex Winter's Tale, which is not a well-known Christmas song past a certain like era, and we basically called it "You're Just Another Team That's Failed." Did the full music video and all sorts, and mentioned the people we were against. On one of the teams we were against, one of the guys in it is called Mark Hendry. So one of the lines I used in it was, "And Mark, why don't you appear when I say your name?" Because like Joe Hendry does, doesn't he? So yeah. So we did that, and then we did a Christmas skit where we had a kid go, "Mammy, every time a bell rings, Roy Storey gets a win," and then the camera would cut to the Christmas tree, and my face like this would appear on the bauble. So we had a plan to release like this full album, and then I went and got injured. So I think next Christmas we'll get it released, I think.
Dude, that's genius. That's the thing, just stories like that, just things like that. It's just, you get the character, you just kind of get it. That's the kind of stuff you've got to do. Like, not enough people are doing random stuff like that just to get, the fans' attention, to get themselves over, to make it sort of memorable, just to, dude, and especially in this day and age when you've got like, the social media platforms, everybody's got a camera on the phone. It doesn't take long to, just record something and get it out
And
there.
the best part is, I'm not a social media person. Like I don't really like it. So if I'm making the most out of it, I don't get how people that like are into it aren't using it to their advantage, to be honest.
But it's just, yeah, I mean, yeah, it sounds weird because I post a lot of shit, but I post my stuff and I get off. I'm not a social media guy. I hate social media, but I'll get on. I'll post my stuff. When I log in, I just look at my notifications. I don't sit and scroll, kind of thing. But it's there if you need to be. It's like, the free advertising. But just doing stuff like that, even if you're just doing stuff like that, and it's only getting shown at target shows, that's still enough. The fans will see it. The fans there will get that reaction. And mate, if I saw that at a wrestling show, I would be absolutely looking at you like, I cannot wait to see this guy get the shit kicked out of him.
The best part is as well, the sinning weren't the best. Like it weren't. Makes it even better, yeah. We'd tried doing it, and I like to think I'm an alright singer, but when I was having to sing with the headphones on when we were recording the sound over the music video, we literally just did the one take, and my mate was basically like, "That'll do. It works better that your voice is broke during it." So I was like, "Oh, but I wanted it to be good."
Nah, mate. Or you could have you like doing a clip like looking at auto tuning programs or something, right? Fix it up, or coming out lip syncing it, and it'd be somebody else singing it or something. Just be like some crazy old school kung fu dubbed film. Like, hang on a minute, that's not Roy singing. What's going on? Dude, that would be amazing. Again, that's the kind of stuff that I love in wrestling. It's just, yeah, it gets you over. Like I say, anybody who does that sort of stuff just gets it for me. It's just going that extra mile. You're not just turning up and having matches. You're building the character, you're building the brand, you're getting yourself, the heat before you even get in the ring. I mean, that's half the battle, kind of thing.
No, exactly, and you can't be afraid to make a fool of yourself either. Like, there's so many people that, especially when they first start, they're like kind of afraid to make a fool of themselves. It's like our butler, when I first met him, because he'd started training while I was injured, so I had no clue like who he was until I came back, and I found out he was going to be part of our faction and like he was going to be our butler, and I was like, right, well, I'm wanting to be more serious because I've had 18 months away from the ring. Like, I don't want to be the same jokey character that I was when I came back. I'm still okay to be the fool every now and then, but I don't want to do it as much as I was doing. So I was like, right, we need our butler to be the fool of the group, basically. And then when I first met him, he was like very shy and very like kind of timid. So I was a bit like, does he have it in him? And then we became really good mates with him, me and Charlie, and kind of took him under our wing because we're both idiots anyway. And then I remember the very first show he was our butler. Literally no problem making himself look like an idiot. Like, went really, really well. And it's as if it clicked that the only way it's going to work is if he makes himself the idiot. So I was happy with that. But then on the other hand, it's taking like my niece, like the good part of like 6 months to finally get it. Like it's okay for it to be the idiot. Like people aren't actually thinking you're an idiot. They know it's part of the show, and like if Kurt Angle can do it, you know what I mean?
If he can wear that little cowboy hat and his little banjo, dude, that's it. You know, it's just, yeah. Again, I can kind of, again, you know, anything I say is an uneducated sort of viewpoint from the side of the curtain, but I can kind of, yeah, imagine it kind of being tricky, being like, oh, you know, I want them to be laughing with me, not at me. But sometimes, even when they're laughing at you, they're not laughing at you; they're laughing at the character, and they get it, kind of thing. And as a wrestling fan, yeah, let's say 87% of us, you know, get it in that sense. So again, on a local guy who I've seen come on so much in the last couple of years, this guy called Gung Ho Muttley, and again, he just embodies what you just sort of said. You know, he can play the fool, but he can also be, you know, he's great in the ring. But when he does play the fool and he gets made to look like a fool, or he does something stupid, people know that's you know, just the character, and he's just, you know, we laugh at him, but he embraces it, and it just works. And at some point, you know, there's always that flip side. You know, you can laugh at somebody for so long until you then start to feel a little bit sorry for them, or you start to build up that sympathy, and then, you know, they snap, and it's kind of like, oh shit, okay, here we go. You know, there's
I always, especially after talking like Joseph Conners and stuff, I've always in my matches, I hit me flatliner as like a signature move, and everyone kind of kicks out at it. And every time I do the old Christian hissy fit, where I'm like patting the mat, flip on my back and patting the mat that way and that. And I always get like chance of baby or something like that whenever it happens. And then once I've calmed myself down, I just like pull the singlet straps down and like get angry. But it's like like always done that, and obviously you've got the moment where they're all laughing, and then the minute I turn serious, they're kind of like, oh shit, like
okay, here we
so.
go. This just got serious. But dude, just clock the time. I said I'd keep you for about an hour, which we have done, and then some. Mate, you know, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting. I still kind of feel like I could have talked for ages. So hopefully, if you're up for it, if you've enjoyed the Work the Left Side experience, you know, we'll talk again down the road. You know, when you come back, or if you start doing the commentary, or if anything pops up, man, or you know, any more genius ideas, dude. Yeah, I'd love to chat again at some point.
Yeah, no, same, mate. Appreciate it.
So, do you want to let people know where they can? I know obviously we've just been talking social media, not stuff on there, but if people do just want to follow you on Instagram, you know, if you do start obviously putting stuff out on there, which I think you should, let people know as of when you're going to be on shows or when you're making your return. Yeah, let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram at @the_Gr8 Gr8 _ Story. Or if you just type in the personification of greatness, Roy Storey, I should pop up. You can also find us on Facebook as well. Just type in that name in as well.
Nice. Yeah, when you type it in on Instagram, it comes up with like fireworks and party poppers and everything. It's that great. It's like, yes, well done for discovering this profile. Party time. Obviously, you know, everybody watching, thank you. You know, hit like, subscribe, share, comment, all the generic stuff we ask you to do. Keep your eyes peeled. Loads of stuff coming up. Obviously, I announced last week we're kind of spinning off into talking about films. You know, we're going to do Work the Left Side at the movies. So we'll have wrestlers on talking about their favorite films and stuff like that. So the first episode of that will be Mr. Adam Bolt, and we'll be talking about the Scream franchise. But we're obviously still talking wrestling as well. So yeah, just keep your eyes peeled. Thank you for watching. Mr. Storey, mate, honestly, yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, dude. So thank you as well again. And everybody else, remember, always work the left side. Goodbye.